I'm calling the Morton Grove Public Library Board of special meeting of the Board of Trustees on Thursday, December 4th, 2014 at 7 p.m. Can you call the roll, please?
I shall. Trustee Albers?
Here.
Trustee Bird? Here. Trustee Callabag?
Here.
Trustee Goldstein? Absent. Trustee Gonzalez?
Here.
Trustee Novick?
Here.
And Trustee Peters is absent.
We need to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Rick, it's your turn.
Good evening. Good evening. So far, no snow, so that's good.
Thank you.
Tonight, we're here to recommend the award of the contract to Frontier Construction for the Phase 2 work with regards to the remodeling of the interior of the Morton Grove Library for you. We had a very nice turnout of bidders. We actually received 8 bid packages, so that was very good. And I felt very comfortable in getting that many people to actually turn in their bids. So I think it was a good time of the year to get the bid package out and receive bids, because people are kind of slowing down as far as outside work, and contractors were very interested in looking at projects that are interior at this point. So and I think that we've gotten some good numbers. We looked at Frontier's numbers, and I spoke to W. Olson also, that was second place, we'll say, as far as bidding. And I feel that Frontier has the information that we provided them in the bid documents, and I feel that they feel comfortable that they haven't missed anything. And there's things that we will see as we go forward in opening up other walls and things in the basement and things like that, which you always have come about during renovation work. But the general scope of work right now, they have a very good understanding of what is required. So their bid total was $902,000. Of that, right now, we have 2 allowances that are $130,000 total in their bid. And so, we know that the glass allowance is in there, but we also have $100,000 for things that, you may end up wanting to add some things during the course of the project that you can use funds for, like that, or things that we run into. And it's considered an allowance to the contract. We don't use that money. That money will be deducted from the contract and returned back to the library in that sense. You'd have a credit back to you on the contract if we don't spend that money. So if you have any questions.
So being that Frontier's 10% less than anybody else, did they low bid to get it, anticipating something could come up, or?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't feel that way in discussing it with them. I guess that maybe they're just being a little more aggressive.
Yeah.
I talked to them with regards to, do you feel you missed anything? And,
right.
I basically reviewed each package with them of the mechanical, electrical, and they said at this point they feel comfortable where they're at. And I talked to them about the glass a little bit too, of, how we look for that. So they said that they felt good with their number and everything.
Well, they probably know the building too.
I think that's a
That may be a
possibility.
consideration.
Yeah.
You see what there's there, and they can, at that point, determine that, hey, we're not gonna have too many problems.
Yeah, right. I think there were a few things that during the course of the design that came up, we probably spent a little more money in the electrical, simply because when we got into the design of the facility, some of the additional things needed to be done on the existing panel boards and things like that. But right now, we have that covered in the contract document, so that, you know, that pushed the electrical number up a little bit from what we initially thought, but,
Theirs is the lowest for electrical.
yeah.
The question was raised why they didn't include insurance and bond costs and a fee in their bid when a lot of others did.
Okay, and their fee is associated with what they have is, in their bid, it says MU, about a little more than halfway down on the left column, and they have $29,000 in there. So they do have those, you know, they have their insurance in there, they have their bid bond, or their bond for performance bond and everything there. So it's not that anything's missing there, they have to provide that based on the documents that, you know, they bid to. So, when you get an outline of their costs, a schedule of values from each contractor, at this point, they're just, they group their monies a little bit differently. So it's nothing that is unusual or anything like that.
Do you think, and this is, I don't even know how to ask the question. We use Frontier for the roof, you're recommending Frontier for this series of jobs. We may have work, who knows, in the new building, if it gets to the point where we have to do some extensive
Right.
work and need outside people. Are gonna be people, other contractors be hesitant to come with bids
No.
if we put out for bid in the future?
I don't believe they will be, no, I really don't. Contractors at this point are still going to be hungry for work, and you might get some other people that maybe didn't turn in a bid this time, that, you know, because they may have less work that they're looking at right now, and they may come back and, you know, be somebody else at the other building or whatever. So I've never had that kind of mentality that it seems to shy somebody away once they, you know, somebody else wins a couple bids or anything. It's, you know, it's still a kind of a small group of people that, you know, do this type of construction and that. So they all know each other. When, especially, you know, like you get into specialties like doing the roofing project, you can get 15 different roofing contractors in the Chicago area and they'll still bid the project. I just opened a bid yesterday for a roofing project, and they're all sitting around the table during the bid opening, and they're all joking with each other because they know each other. You know, it's just who wants to get that particular job and how much, you know, they're willing to give and take on the particular project. So
Another question, you had in your questionnaire for them to fill out, you had something called unit prices. Can you explain that? Because Frontiers was off the wall high under the item number 1 compared to everybody else's.
Well, I think they just looked at it and, you know, we said that, you know, 50 lineal feet of wiring and everything included in it, and identified, you know, what we were looking for. It's, you know, it's just a number that we would use if we go ahead and add brand new circuits, because that's what we're looking, you know, at. If we move something, it's not gonna be $1,500. If we add circuits, You have to, you know, allow them to be able to put new circuit breakers in the panels, or, you know, things like that. And depending on the length of that, we identified a length. It could be less if it's less than 50 lineal feet, but this gives us something to work off of when we do things like that.
So how is it, I would assume everybody assumed 50 lineal feet,
Right.
but then there's a bid here for an item at 250, another at 200.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a difference between.
Yes, it is. So, it's just something that.
It's like, who knows?
Right. I mean, they, you know, and sometimes they don't even go back to their electrical contractor, they'll just throw something in there at that particular time. This is just a placeholder for anything like that. And, you know, we would just say, you know, okay, we're only going 10 feet really from here to here, or we're intercepting the circuit at this point. What would it be? So, that, you know, I think I put the 50 lineal feet just because if we're up on the second floor, we have to
It's
pull it
just a
from the,
number.
yeah. So it's,
The other question is, under the third one, you talk about signage. What kind of signage are we talking?
the only signage that we called out in the documents was, some new signage for the bathrooms out in the Great Hall
Oh,
there, I think.
I didn't realize that.
So,
I didn't either.
yeah, we called out for new signage on the face of the wall there. And if you wanted to add any signage anywhere else, as far as at an office area, saying, you know, this is,
We'll wanna coordinate that, so that.
Yes, right.
Make sure that it's the same.
and so that's why we did that. So if we add signage items, we know roughly what it's gonna cost us to add that particular sign.
Thank you.
The more we add, the better it is at that
Right.
particular time.
Right.
It's not necessarily that, okay, they're gonna charge us $150 a sign.
Mhm.
I wouldn't let them do that. But for one sign, you're gonna pay a premium, but we don't, you know, we just look at it of
Okay.
what is.
This chart that Deborah put together,
Yes.
for what you said at the beginning, it's not really worth comparing space to space.
It's
cells
difficult
across
at this
because
particular time.
they include different things.
That is correct, yes. And they have different subs that look at it and everything also, so, you know, at this point, we don't know, some of those things. But, you know, we wanted to see kinda how they broke out their overall pricing. I think that's the important
Only
thing.
one more.
Okay, no problem.
Some of them, when they broke out, they also told you what subcontractor they were.
Some of them did, yes.
Is it suspicious when they don't?
Not necessarily. A lot of the general contractors will have people that they particularly go back to. They have people
Their
that
favorites.
they work with. So, you know, it's really up to them at the point of the bidding of who they solicit to.
Okay.
And so some of them might say, okay, I can have this guy, but other contractors still might be trying to shuffle that out between one contractor they deal with and another contractor. So at this point, it's still up to them. When they submit their first pay request, we expect them to show us
What,
all their contractors.
okay. It's
Right.
curiosity more than anything.
And also, just so you know, all the contractors that work under Frontier have to be licensed through the village also. They have to have a license basically to work in the village.
Will we see their itemized final costs in these categories, or are we just gonna get a lump sum?
No, we will see that.
Okay.
We'll have I should have thought of this, I could have brought you a schedule of values from another project, but they will break it out.
As we
And,
go.
yeah, and.
So we'll see how close to their guesstimates they
Right,
are.
right, you know, and they will adjust, they not only will adjust if we write change orders back and forth to them, but they will adjust internally also on their own, because they might say to the, mechanical contractor, you know, we, the general contractor, you know, didn't give you this, now we gotta have you do this, so we
So they'll move their own budget?
They'll move their own money around, so, and that's up to them,
Okay.
and that's typical anyway, so.
Everybody does that with
Yeah.
the budget.
Right. It's a moving target, but what is important to us is the bottom line number, so,
Obviously.
yeah.
Any other questions? I assume we have to take a vote.
Yes.
So I'll motion to use Frontier for the interior renovations in the amount of $903,416.
Actually, that's a high number. Their bid was actually 902,000.
They wrote on their
Mm-hmm.
bid 902,000, so,
Their math was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they,
So we'll say 902.
Yeah.
902,000.
yeah.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Okay. Let's see, Peter was absent. Trustee Novick,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
trustee Calhoun,
Yes.
trustee Byrd, yes, and trustee Elbers.
Yes.
Yes, it's 5-0.
Thank you. We're gonna talk about furniture.
that's next on the list. So in your packet, you have hopefully a final proposal from Office Revolution. They've adjusted this many times. This is the company that has installed and worked with the furnishings in our existing downstairs office space. There are only 2 suppliers of these parts, I understand, this and Office Depot, I think is the other
I
one.
think it was, yes.
And they've worked with us before, so Elizabeth got the quote, they've come over, they've counted everything we've had, they've evaluated the drawings of how we're reconfiguring it, these are the pieces we need to make it work in the new space. And we were guessing 20,000, it came in at 19,910, extremely close to what we were guessing, so.
And having worked with systems as a designer, they left out some and they will find some that they have extras.
Perhaps.
It's guaranteed.
But we do need to order these
Right.
with the lead
Right.
time, so if we can vote on that tonight, it would be
And
good.
this was, if you remember going back maybe a month or so ago, we gave you the budget for all the different
Mhm.
pieces of the project. This was the one number that we didn't have, this was the last number that we were waiting for. It was kind of a moving target still at that point, but Elizabeth did a good job of getting this kind of under control and making sure that they finally got us the number so we could move
And you had
forward.
said 20 back then though, because I know I
Right.
have that on a spreadsheet, that
Correct.
was the guesstimate, so.
Right,
Yeah, it's right where you thought.
right, so,
And it makes sense.
99.
Is there any questions about the proposal? Because this is under 20,000, so technically Deborah can handle it on her own.
No, only
No.
under 5 on
No.
my own.
Under 5,
Under
I'm
five.
sorry, my mistake.
But we don't have to go to bid with that.
Right.
Okay,
So you just,
so I need a motion.
Motion to accept the proposal of the Office Revolution
For
For
19,000.
for 19,910.
yeah, I'll second.
You ready?
I am.
Please.
Trustee Elbers,
Yes.
trustee Byrd, yes, trustee Calhoun,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
and trustee Novick.
Yes.
There'll be one left to vote on, she didn't have by this evening, and that's the
Right.
very last package of the CERT desk, the reference desk, the
Right.
downstairs furnishings, so that we still don't have a final bid on. So as soon as we have that, will we have that?
we
two
will have that
weeks
for the
For the
18th.
regular meeting?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
That'll be the.
Mhm. All right,
Thank you for coming, Rick.
no problem, okay, thank you, have a good evening.
We spent more money.
It's okay.
However,
You're getting into the Christmas spirit.
Oh, is that it? Probably the wrong person.
Merry Christmas. If we don't see you before then, Merry Christmas.
Okay, thank you, you too. I'll probably be back on the 18th.
Probably be back on the 18th, right?
Well,
Are you
only
wearing
when you
Santa's
hear
suit?
from the actual lead times from Frontier.
Yep.
Okay. I'm on number 5, the firearms.
Yes,
We're on the fire alarm system quote, so we're gonna let Deborah explain this one too. because
Yeah, okay, so.
I haven't seen it before tonight.
Well, one of them, I have just, I printed it right before I came down, it came in very late. So the village, when we were there, told us in order to take occupancy and use a building across the street for storage and our own office space, we had to have a fire alarm system in place. Bill Porter has indicated that he believes that they will allow us to wait until spring with the sprinkler system, as long as we do this now. So I had initially sent this out to several places, they came and looked at it, their quotes were totally different. It was suggested that we have the plans drawn first. So we hired Fire by Design, and they have created this plan for the alarm system. And I then sent this to the 4 companies that were interested, electronic copies. And while they were looking at it, the village called Fire by Design and said you need a permit before you can draw the plan, which was kind of weird because they hadn't told us that. So today I called them and they faxed it over and I filled it out as best I could because it's mostly to be determined, and faxed it back. I don't know if there'll be any delay with that, but I've at least done that. So in the meantime, one of the 4 backed out and said they did not want to bid on this, and the other 3 came in, Malco being the people that were from across the street, came in considerably higher and said it was due, from what he originally told me, he said it was due.
Malco bid on his own building.
He built on his own building, yes.
Right.
And he said why it went up, but I can't remember what the details were, but the other 2 came in under 20, so his was rather high. The other 2 are higher than they were before the plans were drawing, so they supposedly are all bidding on the same thing. Alarm Security, which I just received about 6 o'clock this afternoon, is the company that did this building and currently monitors our system. They are the lowest bid. It kind of makes sense to use the same company and then have them oversee both buildings. I don't see any reason to justify spending more on a different company, but that's, again, up for your discussion. And they won't be able to, once they have the approval and Bill Porter signs off on the plans, they should be able to do it in like 2 days. And I was hoping to have it done by the end of next week. Now I have to see what the village, if they're gonna hold us up on that, or if they're gonna approve it.
What's the rush?
We want to move our things over there so that we can open the Baxter Room
We
January 1.
can't use it for storage until,
So it's approved.
I know, why race? I mean, just,
Well, just because we
We'll get
only
there.
have a couple of weeks
Yeah.
before we want to
because she
reopen
wants to
Baxter
have
Room.
the Baxter Room so we can do things again.
And there are reasons to use the offices too, which
Right.
we'll discuss later, so.
Do you have any feeling when Malco, or whatever it's pronounced, came in so much higher than the others?
No, I
Do they
don't.
know something we don't wanna know about?
no, they're a high-end.
They're just a high
I
end.
think it's their
They're a
labor
high-end
costs.
deal.
Yeah, I
They're
think,
not.
yeah,
I know they're high end.
This is for just fire alarm, this isn't sprinklers.
correct. The sprinkler system would be
It's another
done
20
It's
grand.
in
separate.
April.
Sprinkler is different?
Yeah, so
Okay.
you've got, the fire detection
Fire
system.
detection, okay.
This is what goes in
Okay.
first, right?
Yeah.
So if it says heat or smoke,
Okay.
then it triggers the water to come
All
out.
right.
This is just gonna call the fire department if there's a
Oh,
problem
okay, okay.
right now. So probably the water system will cost another 20 grand.
Mhm.
Well, it's what it is.
And we would do that.
But at least
before
they'll
we
wire
open.
it up to,
They'll wire it
this'll
up.
be here.
Yeah, okay.
And then to add the water is just, they'll
So,
adjust.
yeah, they'll have to bring in pipe fitters and put that in. It's about $4 a head. It's gonna run about $6 to $7 a square foot
Yeah.
for what you wanna protect.
I didn't know all this.
You was a contractor before.
Were you?
I've done anything for $1. So anyhow,
The plan looks great.
I would say use the people that we're using today since they have.
It
knowledge
only
of the
makes
system.
sense.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna want two
And they're the
different
less
people.
expensive. of
Yeah.
the-
Well, that, and
Which
the
one
fact
is it?
that they,
Alarm.
That's
Science
the,
one.
Yeah, the ASI,
ASI.
yeah.
ASI quoted what?
do they also?
17
Do they
something.
also?
No,
have
19,
the
no,
sprinklers?
right here is-
17,922.
They'll be able to, I think.
You're looking at ADS,
oh, I'm sorry,
and then the single page
This one
one
here.
is ASI.
The bottom one.
ASI.
this one.
17
Yes.
something.
Oh, ASI, I got it.
17,922, almost 18.
Mhm.
And if they're also able to do the sprinkler system, that would help, because that means one inspection and not two inspections.
Well,
They'll inspect again.
yeah, it would be
They're gonna
separate.
inspect
It
it.
It's a
will- It would be
separate-
It's
done.
gonna be separate work, because it's plumbing now, that hooks up
Okay.
to,
So one, can't be one inspection.
no,
I don't
it's
think
second,
so,
no, it'll
yeah.
be second.
Okay, I tried.
Well, it doesn't, we don't pay for that, they just do that.
Well,
They
that's true.
inspect.
You just pay for the service.
So they're using primarily smoke detectors, which is what you want.
Well, they should all be bidding the exact same thing now because it's very clearly
Yeah.
spelled out in this plan, so, and they worked, Fire by Design has worked with Bill Porter before, so
Yeah.
it should, there may be minor adjustments, but it should be very close
Does
to
Bill
that.
have any comments
Do we pay
about?
them like a
He
monthly
can't.
fee to maintain?
Yes,
This-
that's separate than
That's
this.
separate, okay.
I don't, only one of them quoted, the monthly fee, but
I think it,
we would
Yeah,
most
here.
likely
Yeah,
add
the-
that to ASI anyway,
model
since they
code
already
different.
monitor this building, so.
Right.
It makes sense.
so they do charge a monthly
Mhm.
right now, okay.
Just
okay.
like your home alarm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I pay him.
So, yeah,
Any
So,
further discussion?
I'm comfortable with ASI if our director is.
yes, I think so, yeah.
So Carlotta, motion that one.
I'm gonna make a motion to accept Alarm Security Incorporated bid in the amount of $17,922.74 for a, fire alarm system to be installed.
One.
And
I'll
that's-
second.
Do we have to tell them where we're doing this because it's not here?
At 6200 Lincoln.
Lincoln?
Probably,
Okay,
yeah.
6200 Lincoln.
Can't hurt.
I'll second.
Okay, you ready?
I am. Trustee Elbers,
Yes.
trustee Byrd, yes. Trustee Calamay,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez.
Yes.
And trustee Novick.
Yes,
We spent more money.
you said it. this
Wisely.
time. Wisely,
Spend some money.
always wisely.
Very good investment in our future.
Okay.
For the community.
It's for the children.
Always is. Our future.
It is.
Ever listen to Charlie Sykes on Wisconsin radio, Milwaukee radio? He always listens to anything about it. It's for the children.
It's for the children.
Problems.
Is that why I pay school taxes?
For the
For
children.
the children I don't have.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Take
What's
some
all right?
money.
Anyways, I've been asked to go into executive session for personnel reasons.
So a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel issues.
Second.
Call it.
Vote.
Elbers and Calamay.
Yeah.
Do you in groups now?
Elbers?
Yes.
Trustee Elbers, yes. Trustee Byrd, yes. Trustee Calamay,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
trustee Novick.
Yes. It's a-
Do you know how to turn it on?
Making a motion.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? We're
Sorry,
done.
that's it.
We're done.
We're done.